Hey, what's good, gang? Today we're going to be talking a little bit about the chestnut tree. Now, there are two main species of chestnut in Europe, sweet chestnut and horse chestnut. I'm just going to talk a little bit about both of them just because since I'm building them in Minecraft, it's kind of hard to differentiate between subspecies like that. They're not actually related to one another, but they do look very similar. So when building, I don't know, they basically look the same. The main difference is that one of them has longer bark shingles and the other one has like more flakier bark shingles, you know. But building it in-game, it's kind of hard to differentiate between the two in Minecraft just because like they look so similar, it's basically impossible, you know. And leaf-wise, the sweet chestnut has spikier leaves, but that's not really something you can really depict in-game either. Now, I'm working on a medieval world, and some of you may already have noticed that chestnut trees don't really fit into this world. Horse chestnut actually only existed in the Balkans up until about the 16th century, and that's when it was brought to like Central Europe. You see them all across Germany and across other European countries nowadays, but they didn't always exist back then. So if you want to have like a completely realistic world and kind of mirroring European medieval life, it doesn't really make sense to have horse chestnuts. Sweet chestnuts, on the other hand, actually did exist in medieval Europe and had a lot of uses, especially since they're edible, right? So they were used as food. The nuts of sweet chestnuts actually used to be ground into flour and they used to bake bread. Or you could also just roast them. You know that famous Christmas song, Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire? Yeah, you already know. The wood of the sweet chestnut was also used to make fencing and barrels, as it was very rot resistant, similar to like how oak wood was also used for the same stuff. And of course, obviously, the sweet chestnut nuts can also be used as like animal feed and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to the horse chestnut, even though it didn't exist in Central Europe, but it existed in the Balkans already in the Middle Ages as well, it didn't really have too many uses for humans since the nuts are actually toxic to humans. Not like deadly toxic, but you will get sick from them. But the seeds did get used to like feed horses if they were sick, because it said that they helped horses get horses get healthy. And I'm pretty sure I also read somewhere that the nuts were also used by the Vikings as like a kind of soap, because there's like some oil inside them that kind of kills bacteria or something like that. Nowadays, a lot of sweet chestnut trees and horse chestnut trees are really sick. That's just because there's an insect called the leaf miner moth that kind of makes them all sick and makes the leaves go brown and yellow and kind of die, you know. That didn't actually exist in the Middle Ages at all. That's a new thing that started happening now over the last like 50 years or so. Now in Conquest, we of course actually do have chestnut leaves, and we also have sick and dead variants. And I'm still going to use these variants just because it makes the tree look more interesting. But realistically, you wouldn't have actually had trees that had that many diseased leaves. But, you know, it looks cool, and it adds gradients to the tree, so that's always cool. Alright, anyway, let's get into the time-lapse, shall we? While the time-lapse is playing, I can actually talk a little bit about the channel, you know, because the last video that I posted actually popped off and got a lot of views, so I'd like to thank you guys for that. We are now past 300 subs, so that's a big W, you already know. Next goal is 500, we'll see how long it takes to make it. But yeah, I'm really glad that you guys are enjoying the tree videos. I know eventually I do want to move from tree videos to more like general builds and stuff like that, but right now trees are just kind of the thing that I need most, you know. But to be fair, I haven't actually built any new trees now in quite some time. All the trees that I'm showing you right now, like the yew trees in the last video and the chestnut trees in this video, are actually trees that I built like weeks ago. I've been working a lot, so I haven't really had that much time to build in Minecraft. That's why I'm kind of just recycling old builds that I had a while back. Probably the next tree species on my list to build is going to be hornbeams. I gotta see if I'm actually going to make a video on those or not, but you know, we'll just have to see. Anyway, back to the time lapse. Alright boys, we're in game now, and before I show you guys the trees, I want to show you something else, right? So you see right here, over here where the beech trees are that we did like a couple videos ago, there's one tree missing, right? And basically, I joined my game in yesterday, and I'll just throw a picture on screen what this tree looked like. It was completely corrupted for some reason. I have no idea what caused this, right? It's just a single tree Like, it's not even like in one chunk, right? It covers like 2 chunks, but it's a single tree that's like completely broken, and I have no idea how this happened. It's not a big deal because of course I have backups of the world and whatnot, but if any of you guys have any idea what happened here, bro, let me know. Anyway, now back to the actual trees that we want to look at, the chestnut trees. You already saw them in the time lapse, right? We got sweet chestnut trees because those are actually the ones that would have existed in Europe at the time, right? So you can see we got the. I tried my best to basically show what the long striated bark looks like, right? And not the flaky bark of the horse chestnut. So there is actually horse chestnut bark log, and I do think when it comes to the flakiness, it does actually look a lot like what the actual horse chestnut looks like. The only thing that I don't really like about this log for horse chestnut is that it's very, very like light, you know? But I've used it for different trees before, and that worked out pretty good. We also got, of course, chestnut leaves, and we got like the different diseased variants of it, right? So I use those just to add a little bit of like texturing into the leaves. I think it's pretty cool to have that. Anyway, here we got our first tree, right? And as you can see, I built a couple of them that are like real thick, just because, you know, I've seen a lot of pictures and old drawings and stuff like that of chestnut trees, and the sweet chestnut trees especially. There's this one ancient chestnut tree that I saw a picture of, right? I'm gonna throw the picture up on screen, but I really want to build like an ancient variant of these at some point. That might still be a little while until then. But yeah, no, this is a thick tree, 3 blocks wide, and honestly, they're pretty tall as well. And I think adding that little bit of, you see what I mean? A little bit of texturing in the leaves really adds a lot. Yeah, the smaller ones aren't really that impressive, I don't think. They're just normal trees, basically. The thick ones are really fun to do, I'm not gonna lie. I used ash bark mixed with acacia, you know, just to give it a little bit of texturing as well. And I think the ash bark really looks a lot like what the sweet chestnut bark looks like. And of course, if you wanted to do horse chestnut trees because you're building, I don't know, maybe that's just in your fantasy world, you have horse chestnut trees. That's of course not a big deal at all. I just use the horse chestnut bark, the best bark we have, and it fits the best to this. If you're really good, you could probably even edit the texture a little bit. This trunk here of this tree, I think, turned out really, really nicely. It has that nice leaning trunk, you know. There we got another thin one. I mean, you saw these in the time lapse, right? These aren't that crazy. They're just basically normal trees, right? Most of them, but to have that variation, we got to add both. We have to have the big ones, and we also have to have the small ones, right? This one I like a lot. I like this, the hanging branch here looks very, very nice. And here, I think this is probably the last. No, we got one more thicker one over here. This is probably the last real thick one that we got, right? But this one's quite fat as well. So we got like 3 or 4 of these really, really fat ones. There's one, and there's the first one over there. We got like 4 of these really, really thick chestnut trees, and I don't know. I think these will look quite nice between like fields or something like that. Now, at the very end here, this is going to be interesting, right? So not this tree, this is just a normal one. But this is actually the only tree in the entire tree repository that wasn't built by me. So this is actually a tree that was built by Savage, because we have a server. This world is on a server, right? This world is on a server, right? And Savage hopped in and he wanted to build a tree as well. And of course, like, I think he had to redo some stuff, but I think this one actually, for a first tree, this one turned out quite good. He did a good job on this shit, bro. And then, you know, classic, we got all the small variants as well. You gotta do them. Not very interesting, but it's kind of cool to have nonetheless. So yeah, chestnut trees off the list, bro. They're done. Alright, y'all. Again, thank you so much for fucking watching this video. I know the last video got a lot of support and likes and stuff like that, and I really appreciate it a lot. Some of y'all commented about how trash my computer is and how some of the fucking time lapse and stuff like that are lagging a bit. And you know what? It's fact. It's facts. But trust, one day you're gonna watch a video and it's gonna be perfect quality and stuff like that, and then you'll know I got the new computer, bro. Because I'm planning on buying a new PC sometime in the next couple weeks, bro. Probably might not be next video or the video after that, but eventually there will be a new computer. So y'all have that to look forward to. I'll have way better fucking quality by then. Yeah, but no, anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Peace.